Welcome to another episode of Living Lives with Khalid. My guest today is Roy Michael. Roy is ex-PNG, and he has quit to become a full-time trainer and nutritionist. And so, hey, Roy, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How's it going?
Good, not bad, chilling. Well, I just want to say this from the get-go. I've never trained with Roy, but I told him this. He already knows this. His post on Instagram changed my life in terms of learning about nutrition, learning about calorie intake, how to build muscle, how to lose fat, and how important it is to be consistent. I mean, you hear that all the time, but what differentiates you, based on my opinion, is just that you keep pushing so much information to your Instagram followers that they learn. You equip them in order to achieve their goals, which I found incredible. Because usually, at best case scenario, trainers would post workouts, and that would be it.
Right.
And it would feel very transactional as well. It wouldn't feel like they really did care a lot of times.
Right.
And however, like you wrote me a plan once. I didn't have the time to follow it, unfortunately.
Right.
But still, the information you gave me equipped me to better myself and be healthier, feel healthier, and then be incredible. So definitely check out his page. And then I just wanted to say I appreciate that about you.
Oh, thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you just said. There's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to what's right, what's wrong, what works, what doesn't. And that's why a lot of people are confused all the time. They just don't know where to start. They don't know what's right. They follow the wrong plans. They get frustrated. They don't get the results. So it took me a while myself to figure out, to separate the BS from the reality and what works and what doesn't. And then I thought, why not put it out there and lead people to the right direction, what actually gets results and what works. And that's when I started posting on Instagram.
It's incredible, especially when you find out how many false products are out there that advertise results that are not even there.
Absolutely.
And all these diets that are actually harmful versus the ones that are actually beneficial, where you can still achieve the same, if not better results.
Absolutely. So in the health and fitness industry, it's probably the number one industry where there's I don't know if I should call them scams, but basically people are trying to sell certain products with certain promises, whether it's fat loss supplements, muscle gain supplements, whatever it may be. People are generally desperate to lose weight, and they're also generally not that willing to put in the effort or wait that much. Or basically put in the work to get it done. And then when these products come in and they promise fat loss in 2 weeks or whatever it may be, people will pay money for that. And that's why there's so many supplements on the market, even though, I don't know, more than 50% of them don't do what they promise they do.
Yeah. Definitely, but how, do some of them work, or is it just because they're already doing the work and therefore they do see results, so they correlate it immediately to these products, which might not even have any correlation?
No, some are beneficial. Some do actually, have, give you a boost in a sense, and they do actually provide the benefits that they claim that they do. But then again, it's not about supplementation. It's called supplement for a reason, because it's supplementing your diet and exercise regime. It's not the main focus. So I mean, in reality, you don't have to take any supplements, but some do work. There's your caffeine. Caffeine can give you a boost, and creatine, and a couple of them actually work. But again, it's about diet, nutrition, exercise, and above all, consistency with that. That'll actually get you the results, as opposed to just taking a pill.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on it when you were talking earlier. How does someone be consistent and change their habits? How does someone not rely on these things, but rather change a loop that they're stuck in, or a routine, and they're not capable of committing to the gym or committing to exercise or to a diet? What are some of the ways that worked for you or for some of your clients where it just helped them improve and be consistent?
Right. Well, I guess it all starts with education first and foremost. So before you're consistent at anything, when you learn, when you learn the ins and outs and what works and what doesn't, that allows you. So many people associate the word diet with, starvation, hunger, banning all the foods you like. You can't eat carbs. You can't eat, candy. You can't do anything. Basically, it's like a miserable time where you're struggling to lose weight, and people keep yo-yoing back and forth, and that's all because of the misinformation out there.
Mhm.
Once you know what's right, what's wrong, and you separate the reality from the fibs or from the falsehoods, and then you can be a lot more consistent. Because being consistent doesn't mean you're suffering, or it doesn't mean you're miserable. It basically, you just learn what works, and then the reality is, what works isn't too hard. Actually, you're supposed to eat foods you like. You're not supposed to ban foods that you don't. And once you figure that all out, then becoming consistent is a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also once you learn, like you said, you know what you're working towards, and you know how it's harming you. And I really love
Yeah.
how you incorporate to the diets whatever people would like to eat. I remember one of your clients in your story, he loves pizza and he loves chips and candy. And you're like, yeah, by all means, have it, but controlled portions.
Absolutely.
And so how do you do that? Is it just based on a measure of calories? And I know calories are cumulative in a sense of, let's say weekly, it kind of adds up. Because I remember I saw one of your stories where you're having, let's say, 1,200 calories every day or 1,500, and then 2 days of the weekend you're drinking, you're going out, you have 3,000-4,000 calories, and it kind of messes up the whole thing. So what is the balance? How can you achieve that balance? And how do you incorporate the things that are quote unquote unhealthy and in terms of a mainstream perspective? How can you incorporate those into diets while achieving results?
Right. So to answer the first question, so regarding the client that liked a bit of junk food, I mean, everybody likes a bit of junk food, including myself. I'm sure you do too.
Of course.
And the truth is, so when you're going on a diet, it's not really, people say I'm on a diet, but in reality, the word diet just means the combination of foods that you eat over time. That's your diet, right? You have the Asian diet where they incorporate more rice and seafood and stuff like that. You have the Mediterranean diet that has your olive oils and things like that. So in reality, a diet is just the accumulation of food that you consume over time. And everybody wants a bit of junk food, right? And then most diets would restrict that. They tell you you're not allowed to have burgers, you're not allowed to have fries. But in reality, it's not black and white, right? So it's not like, oh, no burgers, no fries. If you have one fry, you're going to mess up your whole diet. It's all about the balance, right? And then for like a fat loss plan to be sustainable, you want somebody eating whatever foods they want over time.
Yeah.
Obviously, this has to be controlled to a certain extent. You can't just be eating, burgers and pizzas all day and hope to be, achieving your goals. But on the other hand, you can incorporate some of that into your food as long as you're, again, controlling the quantities, controlling the amount. And yeah, sure, why not? Every now and then you want to go to social events, you want to have a slice of pizza, burger, fries, whatever it may be. You can incorporate those things into your diet while still making progress, basically.
Can someone have, for example, candy every day and still achieve their weight loss goals?
I mean, technically, yes, right? So technically it comes down to the calories. They can. I mean, is it recommended or advised? Probably not. It depends on the quantity. If they're having, a bite of chocolate a day, that's not going to be, too harmful. But if they're having a significant amount, then that may be counterproductive. But the technical answer would be yes. You can have candy every day. There's this guy that went on a Big Mac I think it was a Big Mac diet or Big Mac challenge, where he ate Big Mac every single day for a month. And then he still lost weight because it does come down to energy balance. He's not saying that that's what you should do. But he's saying it is possible. So to answer your question, yes, but is it recommended? Probably not.
I mean, of course, there's also a big differentiating factor between losing weight and losing calories because of your intake, but also how nutritional your meals are. If you're eating Big Mac every day, that's a lot of processed food. That's a lot of, hormones and God knows what they put on these burgers. So I can't imagine it in the long term. You might lose weight, but I can't imagine it being healthy on the long term.
Absolutely. So that's actually a good point, Khaled, that you mentioned, because a lot of people associate the word healthy with fat loss. So, if they're eating things like, avocado and salmon and tuna and all that, they just automatically assume that that's going to make them lose weight.
Yeah.
So eating for health and eating for fat loss are not always intertwined. They can be, but they're
Yeah.
not always intertwined. So, I have a ton of clients that come up to me and like I said, they'd say, oh, I'm just eating, all I eat is nuts and avocado and salmon. They're all healthy, but I'm still not losing weight. And that's because it comes down to energy balance, like I mentioned. It comes down to the calories.
Yeah.
And even if you're eating all healthy foods, if the calories are too much, it's too much. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's too much salmon or too much, chocolate. It's still too much.
Yeah.
So a diet can be healthy and calorie controlled to combine basically the best of both worlds if weight loss is your goal in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can marry the two, but they're independent variables actually.
And if your goal is to gain weight, how would
Yeah.
you go about it? What I know you have to focus on a protein heavy diet, and they say what is it × 2 of your weight usually in terms of
So
protein.
you'll have different opinions. There's different multiplying factors. Everyone will. You got to do what works for you. But yes, I mean generally, protein is required regardless of your goal. Actually, so whether your goal is weight loss or fat loss or muscle gain, if you want to maintain your weight, just a generally healthy diet should have a decent amount of protein in there. It's probably, or not probably, it is the most vital macronutrient of the three. So whatever your goal is, you should be incorporating protein into that at a decent amount.
Yeah. For me, what works for me, I mean, I don't think what I did was necessarily healthy. I mean, I don't know how to be the judge, honestly, but I just went on a huge calorie deficit where I was eating around 800 calories a day, but mainly just proteins and fruits and veggies. That was it. And then I would go to the gym for an hour working out, lifting. And then I would go 30 minutes cardio where I would burn like 300 calories. So intense running. And so I was literally having, if you take it with the burning, I probably ate 500 calories worth, and I lost significant weight. I felt healthy. I think it's because I incorporated just fruits and beef and chicken. So I think it helped me a lot. But yeah, it's I wouldn't have been able to do that without all the information you were pushing.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course. No, give credit when it's due, So how can someone be healthy in the long term? If eating too much healthy food is not good, eating too much of the bad food is not good. And obviously, after you see your achievements, there are two routes to go. Either, oh, wow, I'm getting my body goals. I need to just continue at it. Or, oh, I achieved the body I want. Now I can just do whatever I want. And then you kind of lose and go a route where you kind of lose the achievements that you've done for yourself. So how can you continue this healthy cycle and this diet and not in a mainstream definition of diet?
Right. Well. First of all, I think health comes down to more than just your physical health, more than just food, basically, right? So a lot of people are so fixated on dieting and calories and everything that they lose their social health, they lose a bit of their mental health too. They become obsessed with food, and you really got to look at health as a overall picture. It's not just how you look; it's about how you feel. Again, your social health. If you're depriving yourself of every single social event because you're scared of the food that'll be served, then that's affecting your health, your overall health, right? So I think health is important to be looked at as a whole, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. Actually, they go too extreme on one side of health that they're neglecting the other sides, which are equally as important for overall balance.
Yeah.
And then for your second point. And how to maintain basically, I mean, so it depends, you can reach a certain goal, and like I said, once you have the education on nutrition, on exercise, it's easy to maintain what you've achieved. You just need to basically keep doing what you're doing. Once you have you incorporated that set of values and that sort of discipline in you, you just execute over time, and it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
So I was, I was overweight a couple of years ago. And then since then, I've maintained what I've lost just through, I know what foods are smarter to consume and which are less smart. I don't like calling foods good or bad. There's obviously smarter foods and then less smart foods. And then while maintaining my social, activity with friends, family, going out to dinners, even incorporating some alcohol from time to time. Everything goes as long as you have it all in balance.
Which is usually the most difficult part, alcohol over here. It's definitely the one that most people struggle with, especially when you live in a city and people are constantly going out. Whether it's Dubai, New York, London, people tend to drink a lot more in cities, and when you have different friend groups as well, it's not necessarily the same friends. So it's very difficult to try and manage, and I've been a victim of that. It's been very difficult. Now I have more control on it because I see the results, and therefore, you know what? I'll hang out with you guys, but I'm going to tap out on the drinking part today, which was crazy because a lot of friends were looking at me like, what? Like you're used to drink heavily. And so it's really, I don't know. It feels different. It feels great once you're on the other side, but it is difficult to start, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Please go.
Yeah, I was just going to say you're totally right. A lot of people, when they start their, fitness journey, alcohol is usually the number one thing that, takes them off track because, it can get out of hand. You say, oh, I'm going to have a drink tonight. That leads to 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever it may be.
And that was my yesterday, guilty as charged.
There you go. It happens. It happens to everyone. And that's usually what, derails someone off tracks.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms, there's also, you spoke as health as a whole, but if we're going to focus also on the physical aspect, there's lifting weights, and then there's a lot of cardio exercises or stamina exercises, whether it's, doing, going on machines, whether it's biking, treadmills, or playing sports like basketball, football, tennis, yada, yada, yada. How important is it to balance both, and how crucial is stamina as well in the long-term physical health, and how can you improve it? And I'm going to bounce off of this after you answer this question. There are so many different ways where they tell you either you lift quickly, or you lift slowly, or you lift heavier but less reps, or you lift less but more reps. So what are the differences between these? And so people can also understand what they're doing. So if it's helping them achieve these goals, because you get a lot of different inputs. So I want to hear yours.
Sure. Well, first of all, it depends on your goal, right? So everybody has a different goal. They're looking to achieve different things, and based on your goal, the best thing for you will differ. So there's no right or wrong. There's no one way or the other. It really comes down to your goal. So the majority of my clients are fat loss clients. So they're looking to lose some fat, gain a bit of muscle. It's basically body composition goals, right? They want to drop their body fat percentage. They want to get more lean, more toned, whatever it may be. So for that, there's a certain, ideal scenario. But then you have people that, want to focus on, for example, if someone's a cyclist or a marathon sprinter, his goals and his training regime will be a lot different than someone else's. So it really comes down to your goal and what you're looking to achieve. And then based on your goal, then we can look into, defining the best training program, the best nutrition program. There's no one size fits all. It really comes down to what you're looking to do. However, if you're looking, like I said, the majority of my clients are fat loss. And there's a big misconception that, lifting weights, especially I find with the females, they feel like lifting weights, will get them bigger, bulkier. And that's a misconception, actually. So if you're lifting weights and you're controlling your nutrition, you actually get the lean toned look that, most people are looking for. So that's still a misconception, especially here in the Middle East. I see it a lot more, in the Western parts of the world, they're more, accustomed to, they've gotten over that misconception. I still see it here quite a bit, but it's slowly starting to change.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I know a few people that used to think that as well. They're like, I can't lift because if I lift, that means I'm going to gain size so quickly. And they're so convinced about it as well that there's no swaying them otherwise. So
absolutely.
It's crucial. What about people that want to gain size in terms of reps? Because a lot of people I know want to gain, bigger muscles, bigger biceps, bigger tris, chest, yada, yada, yada. What are their reps, generally speaking? Does it make a difference if you're going slow and fast? And does it make a difference the weight that you're lifting and the amount of reps, the number of reps?
Right. So before getting into the reps, so the reps would be, a finer detail of the situation. Before getting into that, if someone's looking to gain, muscle or size, they need to check off a few boxes before we even get to the rep range.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like, your nutrition. First of all, you need to be consuming enough calories to be able to gain the weight. If you're only eating 1,000 calories per day, then you're most likely not going to gain any muscle at all. So you want to make sure your calories are in check. You want to eat enough protein. You want to be sleeping well. You want to be recovering. And then in the gym, even more important than the rep range would be you basically want to progress, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to do more than you did last time, pretty much. It's a term called progressive overload. There's many ways to do it. You can lift heavier. You can lift more often. You can rest shorter. You can have better form. All those things allow you to progress. Because if you're going to the gym without like a plan, and then you're doing random exercises, lifting random weights every time, or the same weights every time, you're not really giving your muscle a stimulus to adapt. And that's what causes muscle gain. You need to stimulate your muscles. You need to force them to change. Otherwise, they won't. They have no reason to. And then when it comes to specific rep ranges, I mean, there's wide debate on this. I generally, stick within. Depends what exercise, what muscle group, and it differs from client to client. But I mean, I generally would say I stick to the 6 to 15 range. Depending, there's no set number.
Yeah.
Lower than 6, if you're going like 1, 2, 3, that's more for strength. That's more for powerlifting. It does gain muscle. Again, it's very debatable here, but me personally, I generally stick to the 6 to 12, 15 range.
Personally, I do 15 usually, and unless it's last, depends on the exercise again. Sometimes I'll do drop, and I think it's called drop weight dropping or something like that. When
Drop
you're
sets.
when the last set you have like a power set where you start heavy and then after you're done your 15 you drop one segment and if it's a machine and you go less weight.
Drop set.
Yeah. Okay. Drop set. Yeah. No, it's good information to know because a lot of people are very confused by what works, what doesn't, and there are so many differentiating opinions as well. I personally have seen results from sticking to 15. Sometimes I do 12 if it's too heavy or 8 if it's too heavy, but that's only because I tried to like I was exhausted. But even then, sometimes I push myself. If I'm exhausted, I would drop the weights for 5 seconds and then come back and continue until I reach that 15 because that's like my goal or the target that I'm hoping. And if it's hard this time, like you said, next time it'll be much better.
Sure.
Yeah. So you switched careers. You were in P&G. And how did you make the decision to switch? How did you know you wanted to switch? Obviously, it's your passion, but what were the events that acted as catalysts towards you exiting from P&G, from a secure job where you're getting paid and a reputable company that's global as well? What was your mindset there? What was the push, and how was it for you?
Sure. So I'll start from, I'll wind it back even before that. So growing up, I grew up in Dubai. I was going to university in Canada, in McGill. When I was applying, I had no idea what I wanted to do, which is only fair for a 17-year-old. Pretty much, I think that's common across most, 17-year-olds. You're basically just applying to anything just to get in. Typical, Middle Eastern mindset. You got to do engineering or a doctor or, a lawyer, businessman, whatever it is to be successful. So I went into engineering and I did that, and I graduated as an engineer from McGill. Then I moved back to Dubai, and then I realized that, okay, I don't really like engineering and I'm not going to get into that. I was pretty much, just kind of went along with it. So then I got into the FMCG sector. My first job was at Nestle. So I stayed there for a couple of years, and then I wasn't too happy. I ended up leaving. I was supposed to move back to Canada, but I didn't. Got a job with an environmental engineering company here in Dubai. So I thought, okay, maybe it was a different industry. I might like this. Again, got into, disliking it down the line. Then I thought maybe try something else. And that's when I got into P&G. So that was my third corporate job here in Dubai. And every time I'll blame it on, a different situation. Either it was the company or, my boss or whatever it may be, it was always a reason why I was never happy. And then I realized that it's nothing, it's no specific reason. It's not, it's not my boss. It's not the company itself. It's just because I don't see myself being in this type of setup long term. It's sort of like a rat race where everybody's, just trying to, climb that corporate ladder. There's some ass kissing to do, which I just didn't click with me. And then so that's when I decided. So P&G was my last corporate job, and that's when I decided to pull the plug on this whole rat race. I was so fed up, I was so frustrated that I just wanted to start over. I didn't know what I wanted to do actually at the time, and so when I resigned, it was out of nowhere. And then one of the senior people heard of my resignation, and he was obviously surprised because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he set up a meeting with me to discuss, like what's going on, where's this coming from. And so in the meeting, he was like, so, why are you resigning? And what's your plan, basically?
Yeah.
And I told him, I just don't feel this whole corporate setup is for me. I want to, go on, do my own thing. I shared with him like, a half an hour speech of, my intentions and my plan. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I told him I'm not sure, but I want to figure it all out. And I can't figure it out if I'm here because, swamped with work, you don't have time to relax, and your off time, you just want to, rest or see your friends or whatever. You don't really have time to get into that like creative process of thinking what you actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when I said that, he looked at me, he's like, with all due respect, Roy, but what you just said now is a bunch of bullshit. So that's exactly what he just said, and I was surprised when he said that. I was like, okay, I mean, with all due respect, that's your opinion, but that's, you don't know what I want to do. And just because you haven't done it or you haven't been there, that doesn't mean that it's not for everyone. So yeah, that kind of, that really, and this was coming from a guy that's been like there for 30 years in the company. His literal words were, if you leave P&G, you're about to throw your life away. And then typically someone that hears that, he tried to make me change my decision.
Yeah.
And, typically someone would feel, a little bit scared to, go through with it.
He was using fear. Yeah. He was using fear.
Yeah. it's just, I wouldn't say, it's just because that's what he, that was his opinion. That's what he thought. And I told him, with all due respect, that's your opinion. And I'm going to, I've made my decision and I'm going to go ahead with it. And looking back, Khaled, it's really the best decision I've ever made in my life because it allowed me that freedom and that free time to, really think about what I genuinely love doing in life.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, what do I find myself doing on a daily basis out of fun? I'll be Googling, about nutrition. I'll be trying to learn some stuff. I'll be, looking into fitness. And then I said, okay, so that's a clear indication that that's what I genuinely love doing, right? Because it's what I do in my off time. I'm not being paid to research nutrition. And then there's a famous saying that Steve Jobs said in his speech to Stanford graduation. It was something along the lines of, you can never really connect the dots looking forward. It's just looking backwards where everything connects and makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that stuck with me, that was powerful. It stuck with me. And, it really, it's exactly what happened basically. When I left P&G, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I trusted it. I said, I'm going to take this leap of faith. I feel that something's going to come out of it. And I did it. And then over time, once I started to, invest heavily into nutrition and training, I started helping my friends. They started seeing results. And I said, okay, this is, going somewhere. And I always said there's three things that, you need for a true career or passion. One is to love what you do.
Yeah.
And then you need to be good at what you do. And the third one is to have it financially support you. And once you find something that has all three, then you found your true passion in your career. Because otherwise, it's just a job or it's just a hobby. So like, I like basketball and I'm good at basketball, but I'm never gonna,
make a
living out of it. So that's just a hobby, and then if it's a job that you don't love, it's just a job. So now, I've been working 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with a smile on my face. I literally working around the clock, and it doesn't feel like work to me because I love it. It's my passion. Whereas before, when I was in the corporate setup, if my boss told me to work 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, I'll tell him, get out of here. You're crazy.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So, once you really do what you love, you don't feel like it's work. I don't wake up in the morning saying, "Oh fuck, I gotta go to work." I just, do it with a smile on my face, and
Plus,
yeah, that's basically what's.
you're helping a lot of people, and you see the results, and you're changing lives, and it's like rather than corporate where your customers you're not necessarily interacting with them as much.
Yes, absolutely.
But with this type of career, you're seeing your customers. Not only are you talking to them, but you're befriending them. You're supportive, and you get to know them. You invest yourself, and you invest your time, your efforts, and they do the same. And it's just a mutual respect thing, which is
Right.
really it differentiates it a lot. And it's funny you said the Steve Jobs thing, because I was thinking as you were telling me your story that you got to fitness by doing what you don't want to do. And you only found out that you didn't want to do it by actually going to work. And you didn't let it rule you, or you didn't jump into decisions from the first career. You're like, you know what? Let me switch it up and try to use it the route that most people, generally speaking, take it.
Right.
And it
Right.
didn't work out for you 3 times, and then you're like, you know what? I'm tapping out, and I respect you a lot
Yeah.
for that. And
Appreciate it.
and what your old boss said, or the senior guy in PNG, it resonated with me. It's because also I have a friend whose father and a lot of his mentors were the same mentality. They were very corporate, very successful, incredible
Yeah.
lives, but they're such smart individuals that I know had they stepped down, they would have achieved so much more, potentially could
Yeah.
have been more happier, but they
Right.
had this comfort where it's like, this is an existing company,
Yes.
I'm doing a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it works for you,
Absolutely.
it works for you, and I'm sure that guy had his achievements and done everything.
Right.
But I think as a boss, you need to, in the end, invest in the individuals, with
Yeah.
the hope that they're going to stay loyal to the company. But if in your case someone really is wants to go and push and do their dreams, I would hope that whatever values I taught you would help support you in your next
Yeah.
endeavor. Because in the end of the day, we're a community, we're human beings, and we're supposed to grow. And if this is not where if you don't want to grow here, then who am I to force you? You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it won't
No,
be fair
totally.
to
Yeah.
you nor to the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're totally right. And what you said is right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the corporate setup. I mean, it's just a matter of preference, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I was talking about nutrition, it always depends on your goal. It's the same applies to here and to everything else in life. There's no right or wrong. You just got to do what works for you,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm happy that when you find something. I think there's one thing that I disagree with you though on. It's the three categories of the jobs where you can be passionate. I think you can
Yeah.
be in something you're not passionate about, or
Yeah.
that you enjoy, as long
Yeah.
as you have a goal that's identified. So it facilitates and advances you towards achieving the goals that you want. So if it's a job where you're looking at it as a temporary thing, I can just think of one of my friends. He's a teacher, and
Yeah.
he wants to teach around the world, but he's been teaching locally, and he just every year he's like, next year I'm going to leave, next year I'm going to leave, and he doesn't. But
Yeah.
the reason he's not leaving is because they offer him great chances, because he's valuable to the school, to advance his knowledge, like rewriting the curriculum, like starting this new club, like so he's
Yeah.
gaining a lot of things that will eventually lead to the thing that he wants. And I'm sure there are so many variables. So I think the one factor I would add is, generally speaking, I agree with the three, but
Yeah.
sometimes there might be a facilitation, so this job helps achieve the goal. And as long as you're aware of
Right.
that and conscious of it, then you can manage it and not be sucked in to the
Yeah.
toxic loop that you wouldn't want to be in for too long.
Right. You have a point. And very rarely, Khalid, will someone actually find all three. It's very rare.
Yeah.
And if you do, then that's a blessing, because 99% of the cases, at least one or two of them are missing. But, you got to get by, right? You can't be picky and say, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. At the end of the day, you need to, put food on the table. You need to support yourself. You need to support your family. So not everybody finds their, true passion in life. And that's fine.
Of
As long as
course.
you're,
Yeah.
like you said, somewhat happy, like your teacher that you were talking about. Yeah, I mean, not everybody's gonna land their dream, career.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. And it's all about mental health, like you said earlier. It's very important, which physical health plays a huge role in it. But I think it's just about perspective, because anything, failure is not durable. Uh, Negative events are not everlasting. And so it's just your perspective of the situation, how you change it. And I think speaking of family, you just got engaged. Congrats!
I did. Thanks, buddy.
How's that?
Good,
How's
man.
that
Good.
been? Good.
Fantastic, man.
How'd
Fantastic.
you guys meet? Tell me about it.
So I was just about to say, I was saying, looking back, it was the best decision I ever made, not just for my career, but it also led to meeting my fiance. So that's, when you take the plunge and you make a step that's good for you, everything just falls into place.
Yeah. It just aligns.
Yeah, it just aligns. Absolutely. Like literally everything just aligns for you. So I actually met her because of the career switch I made. So, had I not done that, I wouldn't have been in my dream career or met my dream girl, basically.
Yeah. Did you guys meet in the gym?
We did, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
So she actually, yeah, absolutely. She started off. So we used to go to the same high school. So, we knew of each other, but never really, we weren't really friends or anything. And then because of this, she reached out to me. She wanted to start training, and then we got to know each other. And then one thing led to the other, and we're engaged. So
that's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, earlier I was saying you develop a relationship or friendship with your clients, but you took it to the next level.
It just happens. When you meet the right person, you never know when it's going to happen. It just happens.
Yeah, it's incredible. And how's that been? Getting in a relationship, maintaining your work life, because you work a lot, 6-7 days a week, 9 to 6 to 9. How do you balance a relationship, your work, and your social life as well outside of that relationship?
Right. I mean, you just need to prioritize, what's important. Obviously, I need to, set some hours aside for my job, for for my fiance, for myself. You just need to prioritize your your schedule. So I make time to incorporate everything basically into it. Whether it's weekends, lunch breaks, after work, you have to, you can't just focus on one thing only. You need to sort of incorporate everything together.
Is she in the corporate industry, or is she also into fitness as a job? Or
she's with her family business.
Okay.
She works in her family business.
That's cool. It's diverse. So I think it's very crucial to having your own lives while at the same time getting to know one another. And so it's a combination of space, I think, and then wanting to learn about the other's life. Because I've seen so many relationships where it's like they're just forcing each other to like what the other likes, and I think it should be just a willingness with also a boundary. I don't know. Sorry, we went into the relationship route, but I'm just curious if what your take is.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
you're right. No, you're right. And it's very important to support what the other does. She's super supportive. She's like my number one fan, literally. Which is great. It's so important, and I always thank her for that, because it's really important to have someone to to support whatever you do, basically, whether it's a job, a decision, whatever it is. To have someone that's supportive of you is key, I think.
Yeah, it goes back again to the mental health we talked about. It really just makes all the difference in the world. So if some people are trying to get started in Dubai working out and trying to, first of all, actually, the industry here is more expensive than other places in the world. Do you know why? Because I feel like there is a huge demand for physical health or physical trainers to whether it's fat loss or whatever, but there are so many trainers. So how come the price is still expensive compared to other countries? And do you see it going down given that gyms are expanding and opening up left and right?
So first off, I read a statistic that Dubai has the highest concentration of personal trainers in the world. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what I read. It would make sense. It's just because, a lot of people are willing to invest into their physical health, their appearance as well, their physiques. And then generally people here in Dubai have more, purchasing power, more spending power. And it's something that they really want. And that's why like you said, the prices are just higher, like everything else in Dubai, right? Everything here in Dubai is a little bit more expensive, whether it's rent or cars or whatever it may be. People here are willing to spend a little bit more than elsewhere.
Yeah.
As for whether I see it going down, I no, I personally don't. Especially now after this whole COVID 3 month lockdown and stuff. Everyone, most people, a little bit loose. Maybe have gained some weight, and now everybody's trying to get back into it. So there's like an influx of people into the gyms, which I had anticipated actually, and then it came true. There's a lot of a lot of new faces coming into the gym, and everybody's trying to get fit and healthy and active. So it's actually sort of like a boom post COVID.
How was during COVID? Did you have a lot of clients that were doing Zoom sessions, and did you
I
have
had a
that?
few. Yeah. So at first, I don't really want to get into it. But then I had a couple of clients, existing clients, reach out to me and said, they wanted the Zoom classes, and that's why I did it. At first, I didn't, highly believe in it. You're obviously limited. There's not enough equipment at home. There's not enough things you can do. So that's why at first I said, I'm not trying to squeeze out a few extra bucks and just do anything online. But then once they, requested it, I said, sure. I mean, if you guys want it, then I'll do it. And that's why I did it basically. I had a few clients doing some Zoom sessions. But again, most were, it's tough. It's tough to work out at home. You're demotivated. You're not in the mood. You don't have equipment. There's limited things you can do. It's not the best, the ideal optimal situation to be working out in. A lot of people just sort of laid low. I was doing home workouts myself at a point, and then you just get tired. It's not as effective. And then so now the gyms are open.
I think I agree with you. That was most of my friends. It's the same situation. For me, I was the outlier. I absolutely loved home workouts. Just because
Nice.
I bought a few equipment, like I bought a mat, ab roller, dumbbells, kettlebells. So, and then I used and then I got creative. 6 Arwa bottle pack, mop bucket with different water levels. Couch for dips.
Right.
So it was getting creative, and I really saw. I think, ironically, the most progress I've ever had, or the fastest progress I've ever had, it's probably been home workouts, but I think it's because I managed to eat healthy as well. So it was a balance of, because I was killing myself at the workouts. I think I've reached a stage now where I started going back to the building gym. I'm still not going to full gyms and whatnot, but I think it'll get there. So I just have a couple final questions.
Sure.
One, what gyms would you recommend in Dubai for people that are about to start working out post-COVID? And at the same time, what do you recommend them to start with instructors? Or is it okay if they do their own route with their own research? What's your recommendation based on people that are new to fitness?
Right. So to answer your first question, I've been to a lot of gyms in Dubai. And the reason why I only train at Train SF is because it is the best gym in Dubai in terms of equipment, in terms of how you can progress. It's my personal favorite. All my clients train at that gym as well, the one in LLK. And that's just because, they have fantastic setup. Their equipment is great. They have a cafeteria upstairs that,
With good
serves
food. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of my clients get their meals after training for the day. It just makes it convenient. It's good for trainers too. We're there all day. So we have access to, calorie counted or weighted food or whatever you may call it. And like I said, I just think it's one of the best gyms in Dubai for sure. And when it comes to someone new that's starting to or wanting to start the gym, I absolutely think it's great. And not just because I'm a personal trainer. I highly believe in the service. And up until this date, I invest in getting personal trainers for myself as well, because I highly believe in the service. And if I didn't, then I'd essentially be selling a service that I personally didn't believe in. So no, it's totally valuable. When I first started, I was doing, sort of bashing around the walls, doing anything. I'd never see progress, right? And then eventually when I did get my first personal trainer a couple of years ago, that's when I really started to see progress. You just learn the ins and outs. It's very important to learn the basics, fundamentals of training, exercise, nutrition, all that.
The movements
and then
are
later,
very crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to be injured. You don't want to get get the wrong information online, which is very easy. Very easily can happen. So I highly recommend it. I still do it to this day, like I said. and it basically kickstarts you in the right direction. And then it's your choice whether you want to continue it with a trainer for good, or you want to sort of branch off and do your own thing once you have the fundamentals on lockdown.
Amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Anytime,
And
buddy.
hopefully we can work out together soon.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah,
Anytime.
yeah. خلاص. يلا. Have a great day. And thank you again for joining. Yeah.
Anytime, buddy. Take it easy.